That day didn't begin with any intention of changing a life or even noticing something unusual. It was just another routine visit, another quiet afternoon where the world seemed to move slowly, almost lazily, as if nothing significant could possibly happen. But sometimes it's exactly those ordinary days that hide the moments capable of changing everything. I first noticed the dog from a distance, tied to a corner of an overgrown yard that looked like it hadn't been properly taken care of for a long time. The grass was uneven, wild, creeping into every space it could claim, and the small patch of ground where the dog lay seemed to be the only place where life had been pressed down repeatedly. That alone told a story. At first glance, there was nothing dramatic about him. No loud barking, no frantic pulling at the rope, no aggressive behavior. He simply lay there quietly, as if he had already accepted whatever life had given him. But there was something in the way he looked at us when we got closer, something that made it impossible to ignore him and walk away. He was thin, not dangerously skeletal, but clearly underfed. His fur was rough and uneven, and there was a dullness in his eyes that only comes from long periods of neglect. Not necessarily cruelty, but something quieter and, in a way, more painful being forgotten. We didn't approach immediately. Experience had taught us that animals in such situations could react unpredictably, especially if they were not used to strangers. So we watched from a distance, speaking softly, letting him get used to our presence. And then something unexpected happened. He wagged his tail. Not cautiously, not hesitantly, but with genuine excitement. It wasn't a fast, energetic wag, but it was steady, hopeful, like a small light refusing to go out. That moment alone changed everything. It told us that despite everything he had been through, he still trusted people. He still believed that someone might care. We came back the next day with food. This time we didn't hesitate. We approached slowly, holding out a mix of kibble and sausages. The moment he caught the scent, his entire body seemed to come alive. He stood up quickly, almost stumbling in the process, and moved toward us with an eagerness that was both heartwarming and heartbreaking. He ate as if he hadn't eaten properly in days, not aggressively, not defensively, but with urgency, like someone who knew this moment might not come again anytime soon. Between bites, he would look up at us, his eyes soft, his tail still moving, as if he was trying to say something without words. It was impossible not to feel something shift inside. We soon learned that the house belonged to an elderly woman, well over 80 years old. She lived alone, with no children or close family around her. Life for her was simple and limited by what she had. She ate whatever she could manage, and the dog ate whatever remained if there was anything left at all. Some days there simply wasn't enough. When we finally managed to speak with her, it wasn't a confrontation, nor was it filled with blame. It was quiet, respectful, almost fragile. She wasn't neglecting the dog out of cruelty. She simply didn't have the means or the strength to do more. That realization changed the way we saw the situation entirely. This wasn't a story of abandonment in the way people usually imagine. It was a story of loneliness meeting limitation, of survival shared between two beings who both had very little. We asked if we could help. Not take the dog away, not separate them, but simply improve the space, bring food, make things a little easier. It took a few visits before she agreed fully, but when she did, it felt like something had quietly opened. From that point on, we began visiting regularly. Each time we brought food, not just for the dog, but for her as well. At first, it was just small things, enough to ease the immediate burden. But over time, those visits became something more than just acts of assistance. They became a connection. The dog started recognizing us from afar. Before we even reached the yard, he would already be on his feet, tail wagging, eyes bright with anticipation. There was no fear in him, no hesitation, just pure, uncomplicated joy. That kind of trust is rare. One day we decided to do more. The area where he was tied had become unsanitary, overgrown, and potentially harmful to his health. So we brought tools, gloves, and spent the day cleaning, trimming, clearing out debris, and creating a cleaner, safer space for him to rest. He watched us the entire time, not with confusion, but with a kind of quiet attention, as if he understood that something was being done for him. Every now and then, he would step closer, sniff around, and then return to his spot, as if giving us space to work, but still wanting to be part of it. By the end of the day, the difference was clear. The ground was clean, the space was open, and for the first time, it felt like a place where a living being could actually rest without discomfort. We considered taking him away. It would have been easy in a practical sense. He would have had better food, better care, more freedom. But something about that idea didn't sit right, because every time we looked at him and then at the old woman sitting quietly nearby, we understood something important. They were not just sharing a space, they were sharing a life. Separating them might have improved one life while breaking another. And sometimes, helping isn't about making the most obvious decision. Sometimes it's about choosing the path that preserves connection even if it's not perfect. So we made a different choice. We stayed. We continued visiting, bringing food regularly, making sure both of them were cared for as much as we could manage. The dog grew stronger, more energetic, more expressive. He no longer just waited, he expected us, welcomed us, celebrated our presence in a way that made every visit feel meaningful. And the old woman, she smiled more. Not in a dramatic way, not with grand gestures, but in small, quiet moments. The kind of smiles that appear when someone feels less alone. Over time, the visits became part of our routine, but more than that, they became something we looked forward to. There was a sense of purpose in them, a feeling that what we were doing, though simple, truly mattered. The dog began treating us like family. He would lean into us, follow us around as much as the rope allowed, and sometimes just sit there, close enough to feel our presence. There was no hesitation, no doubt, just acceptance. And that, perhaps, was the most powerful part of all, because despite everything he had experienced, he still chose trust. He still chose connection. Looking back, it's easy to think that what we did was small. We didn't rescue him in the traditional sense. We didn't give him a completely new life in a new home. But what we did give him was consistency, care, and attention, things that are often overlooked but deeply important. We also gave something back to the old woman, not just food, but companionship, even if only for brief moments at a time. And in return, we received something that's difficult to describe but impossible to ignore. A sense that we had done something right. That we had chosen to stay instead of walking away. That we had recognized that sometimes helping doesn't mean changing everything. Sometimes it means showing up again and again. The garden was no longer a place of neglect, but a quiet corner where care had begun to take root. The old woman was no longer completely alone, and the dog was no longer forgotten. I didn't take him away, and maybe that was the right choice. Instead, I chose to stay, returning again and again with food, with time, with small acts that slowly changed everything. Sometimes help doesn't mean rescuing someone from their life, but simply standing beside them and making that life a little kinder. And as long as I can, I'll keep showing up for both of them.